Few subjects stir up more anxieties about masculinity than when a man must confess to struggling with an intimate issue. And within these sensitive topics, phimosis occupies a particularly uncomfortable position. It's not just the physical impact, but the psychological burden that accompanies it. Most adult men who discover this condition or experience complications related to the foreskin share a common reaction: denial, pretending it's not happening, or believing it's too late to do anything about it. But the often harsh truth is that phimosis does not simply disappear with time. And when it persists into adulthood, it's not merely a matter of aesthetics or discomfort. It can profoundly and silently affect sexual health, intimate hygiene, and even self-esteem. There's a common misconception that phimosis only affects young children. While many cases are indeed detected in early childhood, it's not uncommon for it to persist or even develop later in life. Some men only realize they have the problem in their 20s, 30s, or even 40s when they experience pain during sexual intercourse, difficulty retracting the foreskin, or recurring bouts of urinary tract infections or the buildup of secretions. And even when faced with these symptoms, many still resist seeking help, because it hurts more in the pride than in the body. However, unfortunately, this silence can have serious consequences. In some cases, the condition progresses, leading to complications that demand urgent medical intervention. The majority of men who experience phimosis in adulthood are unaware that they have crossed the threshold from discomfort to risk. When the foreskin is unable to retract properly, resulting in pain during sexual intercourse, frequent bleeding, or difficulty with hygiene, we are talking about something that can directly compromise health. The risk of infections becomes constant. The fear of pain during sex creates emotional blockages. The fear of being judged by a partner becomes a haunting specter. Worst of all, in many cases, the buildup of residue under the foreskin can promote the development of lesions, chronic inflammation, and even contribute to more serious diseases. The prolonged lack of exposure of the glands makes it extremely sensitive, and contact with clothing or during sex can be painful enough to completely limit a man's intimate life. But how can you know when surgery is truly necessary? The primary indicator is the total or partial inability to retract the foreskin without pain or causing injury. If the skin ring is so tight that it causes pain or prevents proper cleaning, surgery becomes more than just recommended. It becomes necessary, and it's nothing to be afraid of. The procedure is quick, usually performed under local anesthesia, and recovery is far smoother than one might imagine. However, the decision should be made with awareness, not desperation. If you find this content valuable, subscribe to the channel now. This video was designed to be unique, straightforward, authentic, and to the point. Share your thoughts in the comments if you've experienced this situation or know someone who has. We want to hear your story, and perhaps your experience can empower other men to find their courage as well. Let's proceed. Beyond the physical, the impact of adult phimosis is emotional. The man begins to withdraw. He avoids new relationships. He makes excuses to not engage. The anxiety of showing his body is real. The fear of being seen as abnormal consumes him from within. And all of this erodes security, undermining desire and fueling the cycle of silence and pain. It's like living with a secret that prevents you from feeling whole. Men avoid seeking help for fear of judgment, from doctors, partners, and themselves. But when they finally gather the courage to seek a solution, almost all say the same thing: I should have done this before. It's not about ceasing to be a man. It's exactly the opposite. Taking care of one's intimate health is an act of maturity, an act of respect for oneself. In this process, surgery, technically known as postectom, ceases to be a monster in the imagination and transforms into a path to liberation. Men report improvements in their sex lives, increased confidence, and greater autonomy in their relationships. Sensitivity does change, yes, but for many, this is a positive shift. The constant exposure of the glands reduces hypersensitivity and aids in pleasure control, which can even enhance performance in bed. There's no guarantee of a miracle, but there's one certainty. Living with pain, shame, or insecurity doesn't have to be the norm. The vast majority of men who undergo vasectomy are surprised by the simplicity of the procedure. It typically takes between 30 and 40 minutes. In most cases, it is performed with local anesthesia and patients are discharged on the same day. There is swelling, sensitivity, and a need for rest in the initial days, but pain is manageable with common analgesics. The stitches either dissolve on their own or are easily removed. Within 2 to 3 weeks, most individuals can resume some activities. Sexual intercourse should be avoided for approximately 4 to 6 weeks, as advised by the physician. Meticulous hygiene is essential. and the use of comfortable undergarments aids in the recovery process. But the true change after surgery isn't just physical, it's mental. Many report finally feeling free, confident, cleansed. Shame disappears. The fear of exposure ends. And even those who spent years avoiding touch or intimate relationships start to view their own body with more affection. Sexuality ceases to be a source of tension and becomes a reconnection with pleasure. Men who once saw themselves as defective begin to feel whole because they've left fear behind and chosen to care for themselves responsibly. Reaching the decision to undergo surgery is not a simple matter. It is not an act of impulse. It is an act of listening. Listening to your body, to your pain, to your weariness of living an escape from the mirror, from intimacy, from yourself. If you feel that something is amiss, if you coexist with pain, discomfort, shame, or blocks that prevent you from fully living your sexuality, perhaps it is time to stop fleeing and begin to consider care as an act of courage. And it doesn't matter if you are 22 or 59 years old. It doesn't matter if you have never spoken about this with anyone. The first step is the most difficult, but it is also the most liberating. Seek out a professional with whom you can engage in open and honest dialogue. Bring your questions, your apprehensions, even your deepest fears. Ask everything that comes to mind. And if the answer is, you need surgery, take a deep breath. Understand that this is not the end of anything. It can be the beginning of a new chapter where you feel whole, where you look at yourself with reverence, where you regain trust in your body and your relationships. Because taking care of your intimate health is about taking care of your freedom. If this video was helpful in any way, I want to extend a heartfelt invitation. Subscribe to this channel. It's not about algorithm manipulation. It's because we discuss topics that are rarely addressed with this level of respect and authenticity. And if you're able, leave a comment below. Have you ever experienced something similar? What did you learn from this video? Your story can empower those who are still afraid. This is a community where you can share your voice and be heard. We're in this together, always.